Hello everyone, my name is Cic2601 and this is my reflection for Cic2601 Assessment based on grade 3 mathematics lesson on multiplication, 2, 5 and timetable. This lesson was planned using Cic2601 teaching resources such as a counter board, laptops and flashcard and chalkboard and chalk and worksheet. These resources were selected to help grade 3 learners understanding the multiplication in simple and practical and visual way. The main learning objective of the lesson were for learners to understand multiplication as repeated addition, to use the 2 and 5 and 10 timetables, and to solve simple multiplication problem. The lesson also aimed to help learners to build confidence in working with numbers and to improve their basic mathematical thinking skill. The first activity in the lesson was the introduction activity, where learners were asked to count together in twos and fives and tens. This activity was used to revise their theory knowledge and to prepare learners for a new topic of multiplication. In the classroom, it was done by asking learners to count out loud together while I guided them step by step. This helped learners to focus and settle in the lesson and actively and participate from the beginning. The flashcards were used as CIC resource to support the counting process and to help learners to stay on track. The use of flashcards made the counting more structured and easier for learners to follow. The SAMR level for this activity is substitution because the flashcards were only used to support normal counting and the chart itself did not change. It was still basic counting but slightly supported by visual aid. The second activity was the main teaching activity using counters boldly. In this activity, learners were shown equal group of using physical objects to demonstrate multiplication. For example, I used three group of two counters to help learners to see multiplication look like real life. And learners were asked questions such as how many groups there were and how many counters were in total. This allowed learners to physical count and see the answer instead of only listening to the explanation. The activity helped the learner to understand the multiplication in faster way of doing repeated addition. The CIC resource used here was counters, which acted as manipulation and support learning. The SAMR level for this activity is augmentation because the counter improved the learning experience by making the concept more visual, practical, and easier to understand. Even though the learning goals stayed the same, the resource made the explanation clear and more meaningful for the learners. The third activity was the guided by classwork activity, where learners were given simple multiplication questions such as 2 times 4, 5 times 3, and 10 times 2. Learners work Learners work in worksheet to solve this question individual. During activity, I move around the classroom to assist the learners who are struggling and encourage who were doing well. The worksheet help learners to practice what they learn and to apply for multiplication in written form. And the CIC resource I use here was worksheet, which I help to structure the activity and guide learners step by step. This made it easier for learners to organize their work and check their answer. The SMR level for this activity is augmentation because the worksheet improved the learning process by giving learners structure to practice and making it easier for them to record answers. But the actually task for solving multiplication problem did not change. The fourth activity was conclusion activity, where learners were asked questions such as what is multiplication, what do we use multiplication, and this is activity used to check learners to understand the lesson. The learners respond verbally and corrected mistake and explain answer where necessary. This helped me to see whether the lesson objective were achieved, whether the lesson understood concept or multiplication as repeated addition. The CIC resource used here was oral questions supported by chalkboard for explanation correction where needed. SAMR level for this activity of substitution because oral question replaced and written assessment but still tested the same learning outcome. The purpose remained the same, which was to check understanding. In conclusion, the lesson was successfully helping learners to understand the basic idea of multiplication and using repeated addition in equal group. The use of CIC resource supported learning and different SAMR level and made the lesson more meaningful for grade 3 lesson. Thank you.